Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Greg Lagerquist from CBS 13 and Fox 23. I am pleased today to be joined by Kate Vickery, the president and CEO of Make-A-Wish Maine. Kate, is great to see you and great to talk about this amazing effort that's underway.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. We're thrilled to help to promote the telethon that we have coming up tomorrow, and super excited about the opportunity just to partner with all of you and to share the power of what this mission is able to do for kids and families in our state.
Yeah, people are just joining us on our Facebook, our websites, on Twitter, wherever you consume social media and you consume CBS 13, you can watch us right now. We appreciate everyone who's jumping in. So please, if you're on and we see there are some people already jumping in, so let us know where you're watching from this afternoon. If you have questions you want to ask us about Make-A-Wish Maine, about how kids get involved, how families get involved, and how people get involved, that's what this is all about. And as Kate just mentioned, we've got a huge event happening that's coming up tomorrow. We're going to be opening up the phone lines, start as early as 4:30 tomorrow morning here on CBS 13. All day long it's going to be the Power of a Wish campaign right here on CBS 13 and Fox 23. It's going to be huge all day long, but you don't have to wait. If you want to contribute right now you can go find a link at WGME.com, or you can, of course, go join the folks at wish.org and go directly there too. But Kate, let me throw it to you. As we talk about the campaign, I think a lot of people think they know what Make-A-Wish is all about. There's a tremendous amount of awareness about helping kids, making wishes come true, but there's a whole lot of layers to that. For example, I think a lot of people think that that Make-A-Wish is some big national organization, and it is, but there isn't this local component, that the things that people are doing here stays here, helps families here. And I think it's really important to get that message out.
Yeah, you're right, Greg. I think, we're very fortunate to benefit from being part of that national brand. It's a very well-known brand. And in fact, there's a Morning Consult study out that says that Make-A-Wish is the #2 most loved brand in the country for a nonprofit, which is great. And we're very, very proud of that. But I think sometimes it's a surprise to folks how truly local it is when you get down to the chapter level. So we are Make-A-Wish Maine, our own nonprofit here, based here in Maine, and we are serving kids here in all 16 counties of Maine. We're one of 58 chapters across the country, across the United States, that falls under that sort of umbrella of Make-A-Wish America. And we all serve the same mission, which is to grant wishes to children who have life-threatening or critical illnesses. But we are raising funds and resources here in the state of Maine to go directly to granting the wishes of kids here in Maine as well. So it really is local impact, and we're partnering with local businesses, local individuals, local foundations to support the ability to grant those wishes. And I think one of the things we love the most is when we're able to involve those partners and the people who make these wishes possible in the actual wish reveal or the wish itself. And that's just really powerful to let everybody see how impactful it is for these kids.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned these are children who are facing life-threatening situations. But I think a lot of folks think that these are kids who are, for want of a better way to say it, these are terminal kids who are, these are their last days. And certainly you have had wishes and journeys where that's been an element of it, but it's not necessarily the case. I know that we've profiled a couple of kids recently here in Maine who'd gone through cancer, but they were cancer free at the time that they were able to enjoy their wish. And I think that's important for people to know too.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about Make-A-Wish. And when the organization was first started back in the early 80s, it did serve children who had terminal illnesses, but we've progressed through the years. And now, as it says in our mission statement, we work directly with kids who have critical or life-threatening illnesses. And so it's important for us to make sure that people understand that for a couple reasons, because that is the population that we serve, kids who have either a critical or a life-threatening diagnosis. But also, we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to reach every eligible child here in Maine. And I think if you're a family who's just received a diagnosis, which is in and of itself traumatic enough for your child. And then, say a month later, somebody from the medical community says to you, we would like to refer you to Make-A-Wish because your child would qualify. And you have the misconception of what that means. That can be very confusing and daunting. And we want to make sure that doesn't happen for our families and that everybody is aware of who we're serving. And that's inclusive of multiple different types of illnesses as well. I think oftentimes cancer, oncology, and hematology. Those are diagnoses that people are most familiar with, that those kids would qualify for Make-A-Wish. But we're really serving kids who have all kinds of medical illnesses and different diagnoses. So there's everything from pulmonary to heart conditions to genetic disorders, which tend to be some of the more rare illnesses that we see. But we want to make sure that everybody is aware of the population that we work with and who would be eligible to receive a wish from Make-A-Wish, so that we can reach all of those kids.
Yeah, I know, for example, I had a chance to sort of profile a young girl named Tikva who had a liver disorder. So it wasn't a lot of the traditional things I think that people maybe associate, that it's always cancer, like you said. It's not.
Right.
A whole range of things.
Yeah.
And, I know she wanted to go to Disney World with her family, and that was such a great story to see as well. I know that's a pretty common one for people to wish for too.
It is the most popular one. Yes. Yeah. We're so grateful to our partners at Disney World. They're wonderful. And we are very lucky for all of they do for all of our kids across the country. But Disney is certainly, I think, depending on the age of the kids too, a go-to, but just one of the many different types of wishes that we're able to grant.
And I just popped up the national website because I wanted to make that point too. And you already started talking about it, Kate, that obviously there is a national organization involved. And I know that, for example, there was a headline recently because Michael Jordan, in honor of his 60th birthday, had given the largest gift ever in the history of Make-A-Wish. I think it was $10 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing. But if I can say it, a little bit of a double-edged sword, because I think it kind of feeds the stereotype a little bit that, hey, there are big name celebrities who are taking care of everything. And at the national level, and that, they just got $10 million. Why would they need money at Make-A-Wish Maine? And I guess that's not a gift directly to Make-A-Wish Maine, and that doesn't cover everything you guys are trying to cover. So a little bit of a double-edged sword, if I can, although an amazing gift. Let's not minimize that at all.
Absolutely. Yeah. An amazing gift and an amazing, Michael's been an amazing supporter of Make-A-Wish for years. And when he was playing, was one of the most requested celebrities for a wish back in those days too. So, but I think that, like I said, we're one of 58 chapters across the country, and we work very closely with all of our sister chapters and with the national office. And so a gift like that benefits all of the chapters across the country in some way, in terms of how it helps us to achieve our strategic objectives and our goals as a larger organization. But at the local level, when you really drill down to the execution of each and every wish that we're granting, those resources are provided by us at the chapter level. So that is the fundraising that we do here in Maine year round to support the wishes that we're granting here. It's the in-kind that we're getting from our partners here. We certainly work with national for some of those larger partnerships, whether it's, airlines that donate mileage for us to use, or larger corporate partners like Disney and Macy's, and that trickles down. But when it comes to sort of the nuts and bolts, if you will, of every wish that we grant here in Maine, that's largely funded by the resources that we're working to raise here in the state.
Yeah, obviously you get some in-kind contributions. Disney's a great partner, but again, they're not covering everything. These celebrities and these organizations, they're a piece of the pie, but they're certainly not the entire pie. And hey, Kate, I just want to acknowledge a couple of people who are watching us. Brenda just says, awesome. She's watching us right now. So Brenda, thank you for saying that. And somebody, Brittany, is sending a message to you, Kate. She says, hey, Kate, thanks to Make-A-Wish, my son went to Hawaii this September. That's from Brittany.
Hi, Brittany. Say hi to the family.
Brittany says, it provides light at the end of the tunnel, as Brittany points. And that's, again, what's important here, these are local stories. These are local families who you've touched. And you talked as well that it's not just a, wish moment, it really is a journey here too.
Yeah. And I think that's what we like to talk to people the most about, is that it's not just a transaction of what is your wish? Here is your wish. And then we're done. It really is from the very moment that a child is referred and qualified to Make-A-Wish. We call it the wish journey. We start that process with them. And one of the benefits that we see with kids is that the longer the process isn't necessarily a bad thing, because the longer the process means that they're taking longer to dream about what the wish might be. They're taking longer to think about it. They're taking longer to focus on something positive. And that can have all kinds of different effects in terms of their own personal journey with their illness, whether that's just the emotional, mental well-being that can come from focusing on something positive while they're battling an illness, to just, the turning point we've seen with some kids that say that once they had sort of that prospect of hope and something else to think about and focus on, then they were able to sort of, I wouldn't say approach entirely differently, but take a different stance in sort of what they were dealing with their treatments and surgeries and all of that, because the mind shift that they had with a focus on something positive was so powerful for them. And the same thing for, I can see Brittany's comments. That's so fun. The same thing for the entire family, to have something else to focus on and to take them away from what they've been dealing with the diagnosis, and how much that changes the family dynamic.
Yeah, it's again, you're hitting some of these families at a time of darkness, frankly, and you're throwing a lot of light on these families and these kids, and it's incredible. And we're seeing it just from some of the comments that we're seeing from. Here's Linda saying, "Thank you for making people aware of Make-A-Wish." And
Linda is one of our volunteers. Linda is in Down East, Maine. Greg, she's in Eastport and around the Eastport area in Denny'sville. I think she's awesome. She has been with us for years and years and years, and probably granted well over 50 wishes to kids here in Maine. So that's the other piece that we help deliver to these families too, is a community of folks that they didn't even know when they start the process, who then sort of rally behind them and become part of their families and form these relationships that can last many years after the wish experience too. And we're so fortunate to have an awesome sort of core of volunteers throughout the state that help make that possible.
And I do want to talk more about what's happening tomorrow in a moment, but if we can just pause for a moment. There's this amazing video. I mean, here we are talking about these stories. I'd love to share with some of the folks who are watching right now some of these, some of the video. Actually, Make-A-Wish puts some amazing videos together as well on your website and provided us with some great stuff too. But if I may, I'm gonna show this video that's going to take just a moment. And let's see if I can find, yeah, here we go. So I'm going to show this, and it's about 2 minutes long, and then Kate and I will join you again on the backside of this. So let me remove the banners though before we get to that. All right, let's watch the video and we'll see you on the backside.
It started with a wish, and now Jonathan has no limits.
It started as a wish, and now it's a purpose.
And now it's a passion.
I think that Make-A-Wish has taught me more about myself. It taught me what my passions are and what it is that I want to learn more about.
It started with a wish, and now there is a community that drives this mission like never before, and kids are impacted in ways that we never thought possible.
Thinking about the act of a wish itself and what that does and ripples through an entire family, an entire community, the schools, other children in the community. It's powerful. It's powerful.
It's a treasure trove that you can pull from when you're going through a rough time, whatever that challenge might be.
Being her mother is the luckiest thing I can be. The number one best thing that came out of this journey was Make-A-Wish, because I watched it happen. I watched what it did for my child.
When I think of Make-A-Wish, I think of kids basically finally getting their dreams to come true.
The way I figure it, you're only gonna live life once. Why not do it with some style?
I've never heard of a wish that, happiness wasn't the end result. And that's an important thing for everyone to have.
As I realized, I started talking and I realized I hadn't unmuted my mics yet. So what I was just saying, you could see that I smiled. If you see nothing else, and that was part of that video, Kate.
Yeah.
The smiles you put on these faces and the things they say. We hear so many times people using descriptive words like magical, amazing, life-changing. These are not just words that are tossed around. These are people who are absolutely feeling that this has made a huge impact in their lives.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so reinforcing to the mission itself, which, it's a very simple, pure mission. It started with folks who just wanted to do something to help a child who was battling leukemia back in the 80s. And that's not changed. The sort of core desire to do something to provide a positive experience for children who are experiencing something that no child should have to experience has remained the same for us throughout the years. And so to watch that video, I could talk to you all day about all of the stories, the unique and individual stories that are just in that video alone. But to watch that and to see how truly impactful it is, and how it's still that simple mission is resounding so deeply with so many families. And as one of the Wish parents said, the ripple effect of that extends throughout the community. It really does deliver, we say hope, strength, and joy, but it delivers that to anybody who's impacted by the Wish, whether they're, someone who's contributed to making it happen, or a volunteer who's helped, or the Wish family themselves. So it's pretty powerful. And we're grateful to have the opportunity to do it for kids here in Maine. And this is our 30th anniversary of our chapter operating here in Maine. So that's exciting. We're celebrating that all year round. Our chapter started up in Camden by a group of volunteers who wanted to make sure that kids here in Maine, they had heard about Make-A-Wish and wanted to make sure that kids here in Maine were benefiting from the mission. And they were incorporated in November of 1992. And in March of 93, the first wish here in Maine was granted. It was for an ATV, which I think is very fitting for Maine. We always enjoy that. And, it's just, they think they did 10 wishes that first year. So to see that expand to the where we're at today, which is, 75 wishes a year, it comes up to about 1 wish every 5 days. It's really a testament to the communities throughout the state who have rallied behind the mission to make that possible. But also to just the ability for us to be able to bring this experience to so many people is so important.
And when you put it that way too, you're talking about 1 wish every 5 days. When you say, we're trying to grant 75 wishes, you're like, 75, that's quite a few. But when you break down just how many kids and families you're touching and how much logistical efforts involved in that, and how much money is involved in that. And as we mentioned at the top, if you're just joining our conversation with Kate Vickery, the president and CEO of Make-A-Wish Maine, and we're talking about the Power of a Wish campaign, the telethon we're going to be doing right here on CBS 13 and Fox 23 all day tomorrow. And how you can get involved. And that's the huge message here, Kate. This is something that everybody can get. And you, over the years, you mentioned 30 years, you've touched kids in pretty much every corner of Maine by this point. You continue to touch those kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've granted here in Maine, in that 30-year span, we've granted over 1,760 wishes. We'll hit 1,800 by the end of the year, hopefully. So, that is, again, the ripple effect of that is undeniable in terms of how many people have been involved in making that possible. And it really is statewide. And certainly we have volunteers in all 16 counties. We serve families in all 16 counties. And it's, we are so lucky to live in a place where communities always rally behind efforts like this and support their fellow Mainers. But you talk about the sort of all of that goes in behind the scenes on a wish. The average cash cost for us to grant a wish for a child here in Maine is $7,000. So that's why things like tomorrow, when we do the telethon and share our wish stories and offer ways for folks to engage and get involved with the mission, is so important for us, because we're constantly fundraising to make sure that we have the funds available for every wish that comes our way. And that $7,000 is often complemented by in-kind and donations from services and goods that help us with the wish too. But the goal is to make sure that there's never any kind of financial, any kind of impact for the family. So we take care of everything from start to finish, and everything usually includes a lot of things that people don't expect. And that's some of the things that make a Wish experience so special. And we work really hard to make sure that there's little details that families don't know about, or surprises, and things that really make sure that the child knows that this wish is focused on them and them alone, and that the family knows that there's folks out there that are here to take care of them and make this experience something that they'll never forget.
Yeah, I love how you always manage to surprise the kids too. And there's like limos involved and all sorts of things. And then they come back. Sometimes they come back. I remember it was a few years ago. I think somebody had a mini Fenway Park built. Yes. I know we had a kid who was really into karate, had a dojo built in his in his back area, and it just some of the wide variety of things you guys are doing, and just
Absolutely.
the elaborate effort you make to try and make sure that they feel so special and surprised as well.
Yeah. And even that in of itself is part of the community effort, like the creativity behind it. Again, our volunteers are part of that too, which is awesome. And we have great staff meetings where we're brainstorming different ideas that we can, put into place to make that surprise. Because oftentimes some of the kids, especially the older kids, they think they know what's going to happen. They think they know that it's going to be a limo that shows up. But we've gone so far as to have volunteers show up with their minivan and tell them there's no limo coming, and load up all the luggage into the minivan. And then there's a little disappointment on the face before then around the corner comes the actual limo that's going to take them to the jet port. But it's the, little things matter. And I think families who are going through their child being diagnosed with a critical illness, they can appreciate and they know that better than most. So that's why we focus on it. And it really is driven towards making sure that child knows that each wish that we grant is unique and special based on what that child's desire is.
Yeah, I've copied in our banner here. There's a pretty long link to our website that has how you can donate right now. You don't have to wait for the telethon. If you're inspired to donate right now, that's awesome. Every donation changes a life, and that's what this is all about. We are going to be on the air, as I mentioned a moment ago. We're going to be on the air starting at 4:30 tomorrow morning, right at the beginning of Good Day Maine tomorrow morning. We'll be going pretty much straight through the entire day tomorrow. And Kate, I know you have a lot of volunteers who are going to be manning our phone banks, taking those phone calls, interacting with people as we do this throughout the day tomorrow. And it's a celebration as much as it's, obviously a telethon and a lot of stuff going on, but it really is a celebration of Maine and the efforts that Make-A-Wish is doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that you said that, because that's how we look at it too. It's a celebration of the mission and all of the people who make it possible, and the positive uplift that it has, not just for the kids that we're serving, but for everybody who's involved. And tomorrow's a great example of that, starting with our partnership with you guys at CBS 13 and Fox 23, and then extending to, there's going to be over 70 volunteers. This is the first year. This is our third year doing the telethon, but the first year that we've been live in studio. We're taking over your studio tomorrow. And there'll be over 70 volunteers that are there answering the phones, and they represent our corporate partners who have come forward and given significantly to make sure that all of the money that we raise tomorrow can go directly towards the granting of the wishes, which is huge. And we've got representatives from our wish granting volunteers, from some of our Trailblaze hikers that are going to be there. We have wish families who are coming in to share their stories. So it really will be a fun celebration of all of the things that are involved in helping to deliver this mission. And we can't wait to expose your viewers and everybody else who tunes in to all of those different aspects and ways that you can engage. And hopefully it'll inspire folks to join us.
Oh, I'm sure it will. I mean, just seeing the videos and seeing the stories and the smiles, I mean, it speaks to everything we've been talking about. And I know it's funny, Kate, you and I were talking about maybe we'd go like 10, 15 minutes. We're going on like almost 25 minutes at this point. So that time just flies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Different world here. Any closing thoughts though for today? I mean, clearly tomorrow is going to be a whole whirlwind. Anything else you wanted to get across to those who may be joining us right now online?
Yeah, I think that, you've hit this quite a few times, but it's really just the community of people who come together. Oftentimes there's, the thought that this is just a sort of one-to-one in terms of we grant a wish for an individual child, but the impact of Make-A-Wish is so much larger than that. And not only is it the number of people who are engaged, but it's the lasting impact and how long that can stay with folks. One of my most favorite things is to see kids who are, 5, 10, 15 years out of when they had their wish, and they may still be dealing with the impact of their medical diagnosis, but the positive memories that they have and the influence of that wish that was such a, sometimes a game changer for these kids is such a wonderful thing to hear. And there's no better testament to the mission than to hear that from families directly. So we'll be sharing some of those stories tomorrow. Can't wait to celebrate it with all of you folks. And we're grateful for the opportunity and grateful for all of the support from everybody throughout the state who makes this possible.
It's going to be an amazing day. We can't wait. We're really excited here too over at CBS 13 and Fox 23, Kate. It's great to see you as always. And as I just said, we're all really looking forward to tomorrow. And so everybody out there, please spread the word. Share this as far and wide. Let's get as many people involved as we can tomorrow, all day long here online and on air. We'll be sharing sharing the power of a wish. And yeah, Kate, great to see you. And thanks so much.
You too, Greg. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.